we started talking to each other on a same-sex dating website, right? So, and we very proudly say that we belong to the website era and not the app era. So I remember, I think couple of weeks into into our living together, I was in office, so was he, and during lunch break, I called him up and I said that. I think there's something special, there's something more than friendship, and we should evaluate this.
We wanted to become father, but did not know how and when that would happen. So, one of our friends, he was having kids from surrogacy. So he suggested during the COVID time that laws are going to change. Why don't you go for it? He pushed us, and then we took a decision, to go ahead with the surrogacy process.
I love stories. Stories are my favorite way to learn about the world around me. And deeply personal stories, they always teach us something new, give us a new perspective, broaden our horizons a little bit. Today's guests on the show have graciously decided to share their story with us. It's a story of self-discovery, of love, of courage, and of hope. And I'm sure it will inspire many of you. So let's welcome Sougata Basu and Mayank Kalra to today's podcast.
Thank you for having us.
And thank you so much for taking the time to come to the show.
It's a pleasure.
So let's jump right in. Let's start the discussion. And I'll start with the question that every interview has just, abused so much. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Please go ahead.
Okay, I am Mayank. I am a small town boy. I'm from Modinagar, UP, and I have lived there and studied there. I did my schooling, and afterwards I, moved to a different city for my graduation, and post that I am in Bangalore for now more than a decade now. It's all about me.
So even I'm Sougata. I am also a small town boy. I'm from Jamshedpur, born and brought up there. Typical middle class, service class Bengali family. Did my schooling there. Moved from and as against most of the middle class parents would want their kids to get into very traditional streams. That's what I did. Did my engineering, did my MBA. Moved to Bangalore, have been working here for a little more than a decade and a half. Right. So, so I think pretty much same, small town, middle class families, and that's where we come from and that's where we belong.
Pretty much same. Just 3 engineers on a random day in Bengaluru. Right. So, how did you both meet? And please get into as much detail as you want to, because we love stories.
Yeah, this is a very special love story, and we are extremely proud of this love story, and we love talking about this. So yeah, we met around close to 12 years back now, right? So we of course remember the date as well. It is 24th of November 2012, right? So I used to work in Bangalore then. I used to work and live in Bangalore. He had just moved to Bangalore with his first job, and was looking, for an accommodation which would be close to his workplace, which was getting relocated to where I lived, right? And of course, our first introduction we started talking to each other on a same-sex dating website, right? So, and we very proudly say that we belong to the website era and not the app era. So there's no right swiping, left swiping. So it was the website era.
And that was months earlier.
That was a month or so earlier. That's when we started talking, and we got to know that he's moving to Bangalore with his first job. And so incidentally, my home where I was living at that time was close to his new office address, and I very graciously, kind of offered him. Absolutely very generous of me. He should thank me for that. So yeah, very graciously, I offered him, this idea that why don't you, stay in my place and we'll look for a house for you, right?
Yeah.
And now you continue.
And we did look for a couple of houses, and but while we were living together, we were taking care of each other. So I can say that love happened, and then he proposed me, and after that we stayed there forever. Like,
So proposal also has a story, right, which talks about the kind of
I don't want
personalities
to
that
talk
we
about
have.
that.
But I do, right? It talks about also talks about the kind of personalities that we do have. So I remember, I think couple of weeks into into our living together, I was in office, so was he, and during lunch break I called him up and I said that. I think there's something special. There's something more than friendship, and we should evaluate this. And while I kind of faintly remember this is what I said, but I very clearly remember what was the answer from the other side of the phone. It was घर आओ शाम को फिर बात करते हैं, right? And yeah, I think of course we must have gone back home and had a detailed chat about it. But it wasn't a couple scene then, and it was my proposal to make it a couple scene, to which yeah, I think we then got
But
back
we
home.
never talked about it, I think,
Yeah.
after coming home.
It just happened. It just organically happened, right? I think somewhere as we started to live together, we realized that there are so many similarities that we have. And as we say that, of course, we have our own personalities. We are different in certain ways, but our value systems are fairly similar, right? That middle class upbringing, which teaches us to think about our families, our careers. A lot of that is pretty same, right? I think throughout, as we were also navigating through our relationship, nowhere did we ever think that we will leave our parents, leave our families, and make our own world, right? Somewhere that thought never crossed our mind. While at that point of time, and this was 2012, 2013, 2014, that phase where 377 was still live and active, and being a homosexual in India was a criminal offense, right? So of course we were also, like so many others, we were also in the closet at that time. So for the outside world, we were best friends, we were roommates, we were cousins, we were everything but lovers, right? And that's what something which we also chose to portray, right? So yeah, as time passed by, we realized that things are more beautiful than what we had imagined, right? And then we started living together, making memories together. We got our first first baby, our first four-legged baby, who is still with us, Zico, home, and that's how our parenting journey also started. But we also have a come out story, and that's something which I would ask him to share.
So coming out story, while we were living together for 5 years, more than 5 years, so his parents were staying with us. So I've been living with them for almost the same time I've been living with him. So
What did they think about this arrangement? They thought they were roommates.
yeah, kind of roommates, friends, but they never questioned, and we never. No. But yeah, they might have a hint or something. We were sleeping in the same room, staying together with our dog always. So after 5 years into our relationship, he came to his sister first. She lives in US, so he was visiting there. He came out to her, and I think after a few months of that, I came to my sister when I was visiting my hometown. So that's how we started coming out to our sisters first, which both of them, happily accepted us. But when coming to parents, it was a little bit of a trickier situation. So again, I was traveling after a year or so to my hometown. That's when I came to my mother. They took some time, my father and my mother both. They took some time to accept, but they agreed to what we are and happily accepted us. His parents also, I would say that it was a pretty smooth ride. I remember when he came out to his mother, his mother slept for 2 hours straight. So I was asking him like, what have you told her? Why is she sleeping? So that was the journey. But yeah, eventually both of our set of parents, they accepted us the way we are, and now they live with us, both set of our parents.
That's amazing.
So I think we always say this. You did mention that. So my parents have been, staying with us pretty much from day one of we living together. Whether they did have an idea or they didn't, right? Very difficult to say that. But yes, I'm sure that parents understand. But also the fact that they come from very, very, very middle class, very small town. A lot of these things are never heard of. So the concept itself was very alien to them, right? So when we did come out to them, the concept itself was very alien to them. So I don't really think that, they understood, right? So we had to sit them down and explain it to them that what it is, how it is. And the fact that we came out to our sisters before coming out to our parents helped, because a lot of those questions which mothers would perhaps shy away from asking their sons, they are a little more comfortable asking those questions to the daughters, right? So yeah, I think that's where our sisters played a very big role. His brother-in-law also had a very sweet and an important role to play. So as he was mentioning that his parents took a little longer, right? So because he's a Punjabi, North Indian family where everything is big, fat family, right? Everybody in the family is important. Everybody has a role to play. And they are from, those small town where uncle is also kind of born in that same town, right? So everybody knows their family.
It's a joint family over there.
It's a joint family and everybody knows their family. So his brother-in-law did a smart thing, and uncle, of course, like, many other parents, whose kids have come out to them, do this, that they go to doctors to find out if there is a cure, if this is a disease, on this, platform, and I'm sure it's been redundantly told. I would again say that it's not a disease which are as normal as anybody else. But yes, my father-in-law wanted to also get that clarification, and that's where his brother-in-law came in, and he had a very big role to play. He made sure that he took him to the right doctors, because these days doctors, there are different kinds of doctors, with due respect to the profession, I must say that. But he took them to the right doctors who gave him the right information, right? And somewhere I believe that helped, right? Because he also understood. He took time, and I think he took, very surprisingly, he took lesser time than what we expected. So we came out to his mother first, and his mother's biggest worry was his dad will not take it. His dad will not take it. No, never.
It's against such a mother.
And the biggest first thing is,
Pata nahi
Thing is
samjhe,
the
pata
father,
pakka nahi
and
samjhe.
then comes the society. What will society say? So I think they are more.
Somewhere in mother's mind, they are already on the path to accepting.
Correct.
They're like, "Baaki log samjhenge." Yeah.
I think they also had the same. She also had the same thing to say that मुझे चलता है, like I will accept you guys, I will love you guys, but इसके पापा कभी नहीं समझेंगे, and it is gonna be a very, very difficult task, right? So, but I think he pleasantly surprised us, right? He took the least. I think his mother perhaps took a little more time than his father did. So very, very surprised and very. So when people say that that you guys are an inspiration, we immediately say it's not us. I think our parents are an inspiration, right? We are still educated. This generation lived in bigger cities, more aware. They have spent good 50 years of their life in a closed community, in a small town closed community. For them,
These things were never
Never discussed. Never discussed. Right. So they didn't have any examples. They didn't have any reference points. And forget about knowing about it. They first came to know about it in their own homes with their own kids.
I've often felt that actually small town India can pleasantly
Correct.
surprise people. Like you would think that urban centers would be more accepting. It's not always true.
Not always true. Yes, I
Always
agree.
true. Sometimes more resistance can come from more urban people, more set in their ways, while people from small town who question themselves and their understanding accept things faster.
Correct. In our case, at least, yes, I would say so. But I think parents, right, have when we now sit back down and think about it, I feel that parents have two major concerns, right, or worries. I would say that one is, of course, middle class, which is log kya kahenge, right? What will the society say? What will my
Immediate family.
immediate family say, or what is the Kanpur wali bua say, and all of that, right? So that is definitely there. And the other is that after we are gone, who will be there to take care of you guys, right? So,
And I
companionship.
think they have seen us, like that time they would have seen us from the past 5 years that we are staying together, two friends or whatever was there in mind. So we took care of each other during that 5 years also. So there was some hint in their mind as well.
So I think both those, things, the second one got answered because they had actually seen us, as he is saying. The first thing, I think we also sat them down and we explained it to them that, see, a larger part of the, the society around us, or the immediate family or the extended families around us, they make a, they make a story out of it, or they make an issue out of it if you guys aren't accepting. Right? The day you guys accept and say that it's okay, I had one son, now I have two sons. It's okay, they are happy, we are happy. You will see a lot of mouths will automatically shut down on their own. And today, after we've come out, we've pleasantly accepted, this is exactly what has happened. So deep down in my family, the extended family living in Jamshedpur, Ranchi, Patna, Kolkata, his family living in Meerut, Bareilly, Ghaziabad, all extended families, everybody, they've accepted us, they look at us, as regular, as a couple, right? Okay, maybe some people might have some. Absolutely. नहीं, कुछ को हो सकता है कि somebody might have something inside, but as long as they're not expressing it overtly to us, do not care, right? I'm not out there, or we're not out there to, go ahead and, clean everybody's, thought process, right? But if you want to understand, if you want to know about it, we are more than happy to, kind of facilitate in that. And our parents have played a big role. So now when we sit down and talk to them, we say, see, this is what we told you. The day you accept, you will see a lot of people accepting on their own.
I'm so glad you said it, and I'm so glad you put it that way. That the moment you are able to accept something, other people will just stop talking. Because society, it's a negative way to put it, but at this moment I can't think of a better way to put it. Society often kind of preys on your vulnerabilities or insecurities. If you are insecure about something, you are vulnerable about something, there will be 12 people to come and give you and make you feel more insecure and vulnerable. But if you own up something, suddenly it's a non-issue.
Absolutely.
Right. And a lot more people need to understand that. And a lot more people need to put in the efforts that you put in to educate people like this.
We would always say that, everyone's coming out is unique, special, and never mandatory, right? So I don't think that just that it's worked out for us, I would, sit here and preach that you guys should come out. Everybody's life and the dynamics of life are very different, right? So we are nobody here, out here to, tell somebody what is to be done, right? But we'll only say this, right? Life becomes easier. It's a big boulder off our chest, right? And there is no better way to live life than embracing yourself authentically, honestly, the way you are. And if you are able to get the love and acceptance of your family, it kind of grows that happiness many folds, right? So while you take your own time to come out, own way to come out, own person to come out, don't want to come out, it's okay. But remember this thing. That's what we always say.
Very well said. We also say this. Totally agree with you on that. Completely agree. And I really hope that, part of the reason we are doing this podcast is that there are other people out there who are in the same quandary, similar situation as you. Might not have anything to do with who they love. It could be another situation which they feel trapped. Right.
Correct.
But human emotions are quite relatable even in different situations, and hopefully they will take away something from this as well. That embrace yourself the way you are, and the world will come around.
Yes, correct.
Will come around.
And if some people don't come around, it's okay.
That's okay. You
It's okay. Don't fret over everybody. So we're not out here to make everybody happy, because that's going to be a futile endeavor any which ways, right? So it's okay if some people are being brushed the wrong way.
Yeah. No. I would even say that's good, because then you lose the wrong kind of.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're filtering out the the sediments, right? Who are actually sediments in your life.
Absolutely. So, while growing up, when did you realize that your orientation might be a bit different? Whoever wants to go first.
While growing up, I realized I'm different from other people when I was maybe in 7th or 8th class. But I didn't see that around myself, like other people, or if there was somebody, they were not expressive. So, and there were no, what to say, nothing kind of a role model or something where we can look up to, like these things happen or these things exist. So I kept it to myself. I didn't think much about it, but when I got into college and explored things, that's when I came to know what my true identity was.
I think for me also it was same around just when you start hitting puberty. That's when you you see a lot of your friends are talking about girls, right? Girlfriends, girls, and you also see the girls talking about guys, right? Somewhere those feelings were not there in that sense, right? So it wasn't really that I was not uncomfortable talking to girls, but I did not, feel about girls in a certain way, which a lot of my friends of my age at that point of time felt about.
You did not feel a physical attraction.
No physical attraction. No, I'm, at that time maybe sexual, non-sexual is a little too much of an information, but there was some different way in which my friends used to look at girls vis-a-vis the way I used to look at. But also, while that was different, but I was very similar to my other, friends in every other aspect, right? I used to, play cricket. I used to, ride a bike. I used to be good at studies. I used to be everything that, anybody would associate as a quote-unquote regular behavior, regular teenage behavior, right? Just that deep down inside, I did not feel, and that's something which was for me, because nobody else understood that, right? Even the girls around me also perhaps did not understand, and there were instances of fleeting flirts, right? So so yeah, I think they were there, but I know, and I let me be honest, right? We're talking about late 90s and periods like that, right? And those days, and in small town, right? So I don't think even in the Bangalore's and Delhi's and Bombay's of the world also, there were enough examples. But in the smaller towns, Jamshedpur, Modinagar, I think it was we would have been ridiculed, made fun of. A lot of things could have happened and gone wrong, not only for us but for our parents as well. So, of course, we chose to kind of be like everybody else, right? Just camouflage yourself and start looking, talking, behaving like anybody else, right? So, and that's what we did for the longest, right?
Did you yourself, both of you, realize how it was that you were different? Because of that, see, when you're young, your vocabulary is also not, and your own experiences are so limited. How does an 11-year-old in Modinagar or Jamshedpur in the India of the 90s even know how are they different?
So we were not attracted physically to any girl.
Yeah.
But yeah, to a guy maybe we were a little attracted, or our eyes would go on the guy rather than a girl. I would
So
say that.
I was a huge Bollywood buff, right?
Yeah,
So
that also
I was a
played.
huge Bollywood buff, so I somehow used to like the heroes more than the heroines. So I knew that something is wrong.
Yeah.
I knew something is wrong. Something is not the way.
And every
everybody
other
else thinks.
kid, every other friend of ours would be, liking over a girl.
Drooling over an actress.
Yeah,
You would find the hero more attractive.
correct. So while
Me trying to understand your experiences, because sometimes you just like, I'm asking these questions, but the experience in itself would be so different.
correct. No, so and see, while we were experiencing that, but we knew that something is different for sure. But we, as you rightly mentioned, that we didn't know the vocabularies, we didn't know the terms, we didn't know that something like this exists. We knew that we were different, and the toughest part was we thought perhaps we are the only one who are different. Right? Well, around us everybody else seemed fine, right? क्या मैं अलग हूँ ये तो मुझे पता है, but सिर्फ मैं ही अलग हूँ is a very very difficult feeling to grow up with, right?
Is there something wrong with it?
For the longest we thought that there's something wrong with us. This is not, and this this is something which is not correct. Why are we not feeling like this? This is something, definitely something
We
wrong.
thought like it is a phase, it will pass in few years or something. But
But yeah, again, then when we moved to college, and that's where we got more internet availability, right? And we moved to slightly bigger cities than our hometowns, and that's where we had a little more exposure to people like us, and that's when we came to know that हमारे जैसे और भी है, there are more people like us, right? So
It would have been such a relief.
it was indeed a relief. It was.
Nothing wrong with us. There are more people out there. Like us.
yes.
Not.
Yeah, so I think that's from there a different journey started. But again, even then I would say that it was, we were of course not out. We were not there out talking to people about our sexuality or about anything. And one of the things, which perhaps, kind of helped us camouflage all of this is because in our overall, our expressions are also very cisgendered, right? Our expressions are also like any other regular heterosexual guy, right? So there was no doubt, right? People were not getting, kind of apprehensions, right? So that wasn't there, right? And
Was that something that you did consciously? Because once you have this in your brain that oh, I'm different, something's wrong with me, then you overcompensate to be a little like most people.
not me, not me. I wouldn't. This is something which I have always been this, right? So this is something which and today when we know about different terms and terminologies, we know that there are different kinds of expressions of gender, right? So this is how I was. I was always sure that I am gay, but I was also sure that I dress up a certain way, I talk a certain way, I like sports, I do a lot of things which I do, right? I love being in fitness. I do a lot of things which
For you, these things did not, your feelings did not, or what you were going through internally did not so much impact your physicality.
in fact, I would say, Amrita, for me, it in fact made me question that everything else seems to be fine. Why is this not fine? Right? So, if
Every
I,
other way, I'm like a regular
absolutely,
guy.
right? There were, of course, there were guys around us or girls around us, girls who were slightly tomboyish, or a guy who was slightly effeminate, right? I could feel that, I'm not like them, but there's something off in me. I'm like everybody else, but why is this off? So in fact, that created some kind of a mental, kind of a block. That if I had to put up a behavior, then I would know that, as they say, that you can't fool the man in the mirror. But in my case, I was me, right? So that in fact created some, confusion, rather. But then as I came to know about more things, and gradually, then we realized that there are different gender expressions as well, and maybe we belong to a certain gender expression, but that doesn't take anything away from our sexuality, which we today say is 100%. We are happy, out and proud gay guys.
So for me, it was not the case. Maybe I don't know also. Because there was this phase during that time where in Bollywood movies they used to show gay guys as very feminine and they were made, fun of.
They would.
There was this Bobby Darling and those things. So maybe, I don't know, I saw that and maybe that could have been that reason that what we behave is maybe different. I'm not sure of that. I would not be able to comment more.
So you're saying that you could have tried to behave
Differently, yeah.
As so many things happen that you can't really pinpoint something as the cause of.
And that
something else.
happened many years ago, so I don't have many memories of that part. But anyways, it's fine, right? How do you behave? How does it matter? Right? You should be a good human being at
now
that.
we think that. I think those days, those parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, did you, even if it does not affect you outside, like Sougata said, he has always been this way. But did it ever feel like, and this is not just about orientation, right? Anytime people feel they're different, this is of course a very big thing. But again, human emotions can be very similar in different experiences, right? So when people feel they are different, right, they often feel very lonely, that they can't connect with people because they just can't authentically be themselves. They can't tell people what is it that's bothering them. They are scared of being judged, right? Did you feel like that when you were growing up, or while growing up it was all good except for this one thing?
It was all good, I would say. I had friends back then also. I'm still in connect with them. So, I didn't feel lonely or anything like that because there was so much of work and studies that were going on. So that was, I was not getting time for thinking on to these things too much. So then I went to study for, IIT preparations and all. I went to Kota, so everything,
Did not have time.
did not have time to think. So after I entered into college, then only I, explored more about it. So didn't feel, I had friends and, that time didn't feel like to.
Same with me. Same with me. I think, see, now when we think back and think about it, we feel that, we could have done some things which are different, could have been a little freer, right? So I've always been, one of the things, right? I've always loved dancing, right? Loved dancing. Like Bollywood is my craze, right? So, and I've always been a, dancer. I would say that, my sister used to go for the dance classes and my mom used to take me along because there was nobody at home to leave me with. And my sister is a horrible dancer till date. And so she will, and she will vouch for it. She's the horrible dancer. She's one of the most surless singer that I have heard. No sur tal ka gyan, nothing.
Sibling can get away with saying things like that.
But she's like, of course, both our sisters have been fabulous, right? So they've been pillars of strength for us. So, kudos for them to be the sisters that they are.
Now you're covering it.
Yeah, no, but that's a reality. That's a reality, though. But so I would say that I would go there and I'll see my sister dance and I will pick up the steps and will come back home and my mom will ask my sister to redo the steps, rehearse. She would not remember anything. I would remember, and I keep telling my mom that you still did not see the talent in your child then, and get me enrolled into a dance class. And my mom was like, back then, early 90s, late 90s, small town, ladke kahan nachte the? Right? So a lot of those things were there, right? And it was, now that we think about it, we feel that, I think it's true that, it wouldn't have been that easy for our parents also to get me enrolled into a dance class just because I could, pick up the dance steps of my sister. But, so some of those things perhaps, if we could redo, I would have been a better dancer today than what I am. But I think, those are some of the things. But otherwise, I think, our childhood was, touch wood, was happy, was very happy. We had friends, we had cousins, we had our studies, we had our parents supporting us for everything else, right? So they've given us everything that we wanted, and sometimes when they couldn't afford it also. So, and we are absolutely grateful, full of gratitude for having a childhood which was, near perfect, right? So, yeah.
It's very good to, because again, a lot of people will not have these experiences, right? So it's very positive to hear that your life does not have to be defined by whatever it is that you feel is different about you, or at that point you might think is wrong with you, but your life does not have to be.
Correct. Yeah, there are many, also Amrita, there are many lives, many childhoods are not like this.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
There are a lot of people who go through a lot of troubles in their childhood, right? And we empathize, right? We empathize to the extent that we can, right? Of course, we cannot empathize completely because we've not gone through it, right? So we try to empathize, and we respect the fact that yes, everybody's life stories are very, very different, right? But equally, we feel that there is absolutely no need to make a sob story out of a story which is not a sob story, right? And for us, touch wood, our growing up days were no sob stories. It was happy.
We in India would not agree with that.
No, but that's what we feel. I think reality TV now needs to, for the for the same sex, the LGBTQIA plus community, there are beautiful love stories. There are beautiful happy stories. Of course, they have had their own share of struggles, right? We all have had, right? And it's unfair to say that Mayank and I have not had struggles in our life. We have had our struggles as well. So yes, there were struggles, but it's been happy, right? It's there, that brings in hope, that brings in happiness, right? You don't really get to enjoy seeing somebody suffering and traumatized, right? It doesn't really help, right? So it's important now for the reality TVs also to show that face of the LGBTQI community, where the struggles are shown for sure, because the struggles do exist, but equally important is to show that the outcome has been the rainbow that we represent,
Yeah.
right? So that is what I feel.
So growing up, you both had a lot of friends, right? And so now, when you came out and you embarked on this chapter of lives with each other, did any of your friends, were all your friends surprised, or did any of your friends were like, I saw this coming, I'm glad this happened for you?
For me,
Not just friends, like even people in family.
yeah, few cousins, when I came out to them, they were like, we already knew types.
Who was that? You never told me.
Sheena and I know everyone. So for friends, I would say like I never came out to them directly. Maybe they came to know via social media. Only the closest of friends, they were already aware. So the rest of the friends, they came through social media or something, but none of them distanced themselves from us or anything like that. So that was a good thing.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Same for me, right? So I can't think of an instance where we had to sit a friend down and share. Yeah, I think there was there's a family friend of ours, a heterosexual couple, husband wife. They were our neighbors and then ended up becoming very, very good friends, and they're very good friends of us now. So one fine day, we told them, right? So, and even then they came back that I always knew, and I used to always tell my husband that they're not cousins. He says he is cousins, but they're not cousins. They are same sex couple.
We didn't tell them that we were cousins. We were
I
friends.
told.
Okay.
I told. So
that would have been one giveaway also. No, you said cousins, you said something.
no, he wasn't talking to them then. I used to be talking to her. And some things led to something, and then and introduced us, and then and that's where he was like, she was wanting to kind of get him hooked up with one of her cousin sisters, and all of that was happening. So then as we got close, and then we were like, it's time to say, and that is when she said that I always knew, and I always used to tell my husband that they're definitely not cousins and they're lovers. So yeah, I think some people guess, some people don't, but luckily for us, a lot, nobody has come back to us with a negativity, or nobody has come, kind of distanced themselves from us for this reason. And there may be other reasons for which people have distanced themselves from us, but that's okay. But definitely not for this reason, right? So it's been good so far. I think we've, in fact, on the contrary, Amrita, like I would say that ever since we've come out and ever since we are our authentic self, a lot of people have in fact come closer to us. Right? They like us. I feel they like us a little more than what they would do otherwise, right? Yeah. Somewhere they feel that they are honest. They're just living their life the way it is, and somewhere some people value that quality, right? So I think for us, and again I would say that God, thank God for that we've got such people who've actually come close to us. Right, and there are quite a few of them. Where our bond, our friendship, our association has actually deepened, right?
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I can't say everybody, but many people, especially in Indian society and of our generation and older generation, even younger people, always worry, right, what the world will think of you when you present your real selves, Will they like you? Will they not like you? But usually the opposite happens when you are your authentic self. I don't know what it is. Maybe people feel that they can trust you more now that you've shown them their true self.
Correct.
Right? Whatever it is, but it's actually mostly, I can't give the statistics, but mostly it does end up being a better thing.
See, there are different kinds of people, right? So I would say that just because I kind of shy away. There could be a thought process which would say that you guys are privileged, right? You live in a big city, you work in big companies, you guys are educated, financially stable. You guys are privileged, right? You wouldn't care if people don't, if people don't accept you for who they are. Again, with due respect, maybe, right? I know there is no denying that. I don't think that I will sit here and I'll deny that yes, we don't have any privileges. No, of course not, we do. But all that I am saying here is we've worked for this privilege.
We've worked hard to get.
Right? So, and this privilege has not come to us on a platter, that somebody has not suddenly come and delivered it to our home, that here, take the privilege. We've really worked for it, and we've made a journey, right? And we're extremely proud of that journey. In that journey, we've had bad days. We've had very bad days where we felt that the entire world is breaking down around us. And we've had some days where, we've been absolutely pleasantly surprised. Like, when my father-in-law accepted us so fast, it was a pleasant surprise, right? So we've had, our crests and troughs in our journey. But yes, today we maybe are sitting in a place where it might seem that we have privileges to some people, and we don't deny it, right? We absolutely don't deny it. All that we're saying is we've worked hard for this privilege.
And I would also like to add that there would be people, and I'm sure there are many people, who would probably be in, at least financially, as privileged a state as you are in, but in terms of their life, in terms of who they are, they've not been able to get to the stage where you are, right? So it's not as if everybody in your setup would automatically become this privilege.
Of course not.
I mean, it's clear that you had to put in your thoughts, your maturity.
See, it's been a journey. It's been a journey, and as you rightly mentioned, that there are a lot of people who might be otherwise having a lot of privileges elsewhere, but there may be some certain things about their life which I and you today sitting here cannot comment on, right? All that we can do is, to such people out there, whenever they wish to reach out to us, there might be such people in our friends, in our families, we don't know, right? So whenever such people reach out to us, That is one thing that we can commit, that we will give them a patient hearing, we will give them empathy, we'll give them acceptance. Whenever they decide to come to us with concerns that they have, right, which is holding them back from being their authentic self. No pressure, no getting influenced by, okay, Sougata's and Mayank's life has turned out to be this, okay, let my life also be turned out to be this. Brilliant if you are getting positively influenced by some hope that you see around you, but it's your life, you will decide. And all that we can do, I, you, he, others can do, is that whenever such people come to you, just be there for them, right? And that's the only thing that we can do to make their journey easier, if not anything else, right? And that's what I always believe, right? No looking down upon anybody's challenges, anybody's life stories, absolutely not denying that, yes, we are today sitting in a place where we have some privileges, but all that I say is, something which I often say, and he also tells that, is when people say that, you guys are lucky, right? I believe, I don't like that, right? I say we are blessed, right? Because when you say lucky, you are taking away a lot of hard work that has gone behind what you are saying or seeing as lucky, right? There's a lot of hard work that has gone behind it, right? And yes, we are blessed that it's turned out to be this, right? But lucky, I think, trivializes our efforts that we put in. Our efforts, our parents' efforts, our family's efforts of accepting us, of knowing about this thing, of, finding out a lot of things. So please don't trivialize that. And I think anybody who has had a good life is blessed. Right?
That's a great way of putting it. That's a great way of putting it. Yeah, because that term lucky, again, overused, and you're right, like it does trivialize people's journeys often. So it's a great way of putting it. So you very early on in your relationships, you decided to be pet parents, right? So clearly that went well, because then you now you have children as well.
Yeah.
Then you have more pets, from what I know, right?
Yep.
So how did that journey progress? Like, when did you decide that from having beautiful pets, from being pet parents, now we also want to have children?
So we got our first pet when we were, I think,
4 months into our
4
relationship.
months or 6 months into our relationship. So
So
he's still there.
Safe to say that you knew early on that you were in this for life, or at least for a long time.
Yeah.
Nobody knows about time, but for a long time.
Never thought about it at that time.
That's the right way to overthink it.
Didn't think like that.
So during the COVID time, we rescued the second pet. That's how we got him. We got him adopted also, but eventually he came back to us only.
So he's an indie, he's a street dog. Today he is the king of the house.
He dominates the elder one.
He pretty much dominates everybody in the house.
So and yeah, we knew always, like, we wanted to become father, but did not know how and when that would happen. So one of our friends, he was having kids from surrogacy, so he suggested during the COVID time that laws are going to change, why don't you go for it? He pushed us, and then we took a decision, to go ahead with the surrogacy process. And that's when we were lucky, it all
Blessed.
blessed.
Yeah.
So lucky as in, like, the
fact that a solution came upon
solution
you,
came, and
presented.
it's kind of an IVF process, so that happened in one go. So that way I was saying it was lucky. We were lucky. So yeah, so that way we became parents.
So see, I think something which I was mentioning earlier in our conversation is that both Mayank and I are very similar in our value systems, right? So this, this urge or this, desire to be fathers was very, very strong in us from day one, right? So we always wanted to be fathers. That paternal instinct was there.
I have to say
Right?
that's adorable.
Yeah, it was always there, right? We were very good with kids, the kids of our neighborhood, our cousins' kids, and all of that. So that paternal instinct was very, very prominent, dominant, and we wanted to be fathers. Back then, 2012, when we were not really sure about, how will the life unfold. Of course, we didn't know that, whether this will be ever possible, and we, so that there was no clarity around that, but there was a desire, right? I think that helped, right? And then we got our, first furry baby, then we got our second furry baby. And then, when we were contemplating fatherhood, and there were different options that we were evaluating at that point of time. And that's when, one of the ways was, of course, surrogacy. There was adoption and all of that. And so as, and then that's when COVID happened, right? And that's when we, as the world saw, a different side of life, right? Very, very unpleasant, very, very insecure, nobody could predict what the tomorrow will look like. So in those times, and I'd like to mention here, so it was during the first wave of COVID, that's when he had gone to his hometown, Modi Nagar, and that's when the lockdown happened, right? And he was stuck there. I was in Bangalore. We had, of course, my parents were there. We had a house help who was also a senior citizen, and we had our, first dog, right? And for 3 months it continued, right? And there was so much of, negativity, so much of bad news all around us. Today when I, think about it, it was very difficult, right? Where I was here, he was there. Anything could have happened, right? Perhaps, we may have not seen each other ever again, right? Some things like that was also possible, right?
Yeah, that time
Everything was possible, right? And that's when, that is when it triggered our thoughts of, let's be parents, right? And if this is what life is, which is so unpredictable, which is, so difficult to understand, right? Then why to shy away from something that we feel so strongly about, right? We did not want that when we are 60 years old and, kind of sitting and talking, that I wish we had become parents, right?
that kind of
So we did not want that. And as people say that people normally don't regret the things which they have done, they regret the things which they have not done, right? So we did not want to do that, right? And that's when we discussed with our parents that
And
this
in fact,
is
our parents also pushed us, to become parents.
That's one thing in which parents can always be
no, of course they did tell us about just evaluate. When we spoke to our sisters also, so they did tell us just consider everything, right? It's a big decision. It's not like buying a pair of denims, right? It's not that you don't like it, you return it, or you don't wear it ever, right? So it's a big decision. It's irreversible, right? And it's a lifetime commitment. And you need to also understand that the society will not have too many examples of this, right? So you will get to see a lot of people, raising eyebrows or saying things which are, which are unparliamentary, unprecedented, and can trigger, right? And my sister lives in the US, and she said that, back here in the US also, right, same-sex parents, while same-sex is, far more accepted, and so same-sex parents here do have their own share of struggles. So, and in India, you will have your share of struggles for sure. So, are you ready for it? So be sure of that. And that was I think that was a very concerned, point of view, right, for our parents as well as our sisters to have. But then we were very sure, and when we were sure, right, then they came around like, the rocks of Gibraltar behind us and supported us full time, saying that yes, please go ahead and do it. So we are always there. And that's when our parents also said that's when they started saying that please, if you want to do it fast, because we want to be part of your journey, right? We would want to play our role as grandparents in bringing the kids up. Right, so that's where they also started telling us. And then this friend of ours, who is a very, very dear friend, he is also a single father, two babies in Chennai. He opted for surrogacy, and that's when he said that if you guys want to do it, because the surrogacy law of the country was under contemplation to be changed, again, as I said, that how COVID played that role, of course, apart from the fact that it pushed us, the fact that all the laws which were non-healthcare laws got a little delayed, right, to be passed in the parliament during COVID period. So that's why that gave us a window of 6 months, right, for us to decide. So I think somewhere somebody up there wanted this to happen, and yes, again, yes, I'm reiterating, yes, we are blessed. So yes, I think, but that's when we felt that we need to do it, and let's go ahead and do it, right? Did not want to regret later that wish we had done it, right?
Absolutely.
And yeah, I think it's wonderful now that we have 4 babies, right? 2 4-legged ones. 2 4-legged babies and 2 2-legged babies.
Sets of parents.
And 2 sets of parents who are also...
This is amazing blended family. They should make a modern family in India.
Yeah, and so parents in this age of their life, they are also kids, right? So they have random they have random reasons to get upset. They have random reasons to get angry. Anything, right? So our house is a mad house,
Yes.
but it's a perfectly beautiful house, I think.
That sounds perfect.
Touch wood.
Yeah, touch wood. So we got into how you made the decision of becoming parents, or having children. But how was that journey? I'm sure it was not traditional, conventional by any means. And what were the legalities involved? In a country like us, couldn't have been easy. So if there are couples out there like yourselves who are looking to go on this journey, what are the options that are available to them through which they can have children? And what are the legalities that they will have to navigate in order to, arrive to that?
So I think before we take that, I would say that to anybody who is wanting to become parents and really, really want to become parents, deep down strongly believe in that, please go ahead and become parents, because that's perhaps the most rewarding journeys that one can embark upon, right? Of course, if you feel strongly about it, right? That's the only thing that I would say. And then coming to the question that you're having, again, for that, we would say that we're not really experts on this topic. We will only share what we know, right?
Yes.
A lot of it will be definitely correct. But for anybody who is willing to have more detailed understanding of the laws, the bylaws around it, it's always advisable to take expert opinion, right? There are lawyers who can guide you in that journey, and they will tell you exactly what the laws are, right? Yeah. So coming to that question, yes, it was a decision that we had to make between surrogacy and adoption, right? In India, same-sex couples are not recognized as couples, so a lot of that decision had to be done as single status, right? Either ways, if you opt for this or opt for that, but that was never really a blocker for us, because we always knew that we are going to be 2 fathers to our babies, right? So as good as that, right? And the law will take its own course. With time, in time, it will definitely change and will get better.
You say that so simply, and guess that's because it's part of your innate natures, but that is a brave thing to do.
Absolutely.
Maybe just that bravery is a part of your nature, but it's a brave thing to do, and I'm glad that you did it.
I think it was, to think any differently would have been, very small. Right? Because what we were hoping to build, hoping to create, hoping to, start was so much more beautiful and so much bigger that any thought which would be on those lines would make this entire, act look very small, right? So we, of course, that didn't even flash our minds ever, right? So I think after contemplation of, and this is a period we're talking about, 2020, right? this entire contemplation that we were having of, choosing the way in which we will become parents was in 2020, when the surrogacy laws of our country allowed single men and single women to also become parents through surrogacy. The law allowed it.
Now changed.
The law is
That
now
is now
changed, right?
That got changed in, I think, December 2021.
Right, and we'll come to that. So I think the law allowed that, so we went ahead with that. We also contemplated adoption. Adoption even now allows single men and single women to adopt. However, the process is a little time consuming. It takes 3 to 4 years, 5 years. In some cases might take a little lesser, but it can take almost that much. And the thing is, as a single man, you can only adopt a male child.
A boy child.
So a boy. While a single woman can adopt
Either a girl child or a boy child.
so that's something. Again, details around adoption is there on the Kalra website, right? So that will give the exact details around what is allowed, what is not allowed.
What website again?
Kalra.
Kalra.
It's CARA. Yeah.
Obviously, put that in the description.
Correct. So that is there for, that's a government authorized, today the government, authorized agency, that's Kalra, that body that, handles adoption. So all details are there on that website. So then we chose surrogacy. Because we also, wanted to do it faster, and as I mentioned, that our parents wanted to be part of the journey, and they were not getting younger, right? So they are in their 70s. So we also wanted to make it faster, and that's why we went for surrogacy, and the law allowed it, right? And so we were absolutely law-abiding. We were abiding the law of our land when we went ahead and became parents through surrogacy, and. So coming to the law, now the law has changed. The law changed in December 2021. Now the law doesn't allow single men or single women to opt for surrogacy as the way to become parents. It says that you need to be heterosexual, married for at least 5 years, at least one of the couples or one of the spouses or both are proven medically infertile, and commercial surrogacy is banned, which means that altruistic surrogacy, which is where they say that the surrogate has to be somebody from the family,
Has to have
one child of their own. Yeah, the surrogate. So this is our understanding. Again, there can be nuances to it. I will strongly recommend somebody thinking about that. Please read up and also definitely seek expert opinion, right? There may be other nuances to it. I don't want to trivialize the entire law or the bylaw. So I think this is what it is. To same-sex parents or to same-sex couples or generally single men or women who want to become parents, apparently. There could be, so they can opt for surrogacy, but that should be outside the country, right? There are again laws around it. Again, I would recommend that one needs to read up, get in touch with a
lawyer or something.
A very strong, credible, clinic also, right? IVF clinic. They will guide you on the right process. That is perhaps one of the other ways. Adoption still remains, right? Adoption still remains, and it is as beautiful and as complete, right? Again, I would say that, a baby, kind of, if you really, really want to have the baby to make your life complete, adoption is also an equally potent process, right? And for that, there is the Kalra website, and that will give all the details.
Thank you so much for explaining that. Right. So much that we don't know, and so much that this information will be very useful to people. And of course, any links that you mentioned, we'll put it in the description box for people to look up. So how has fatherhood changed your... We've already talked about it briefly. I can see that it seems like it's made things better. But there are bound to be challenges. Like I know from personal experience,
Yeah.
no matter how happy it makes you, there are also incredible challenges. What has your experience been so far?
It's rewarding, I would say. Being a parent is very rewarding. It's tiring also sometimes, but yeah, it's rewarding at the end of the day. And it changes you, I would say, completely. After becoming a parent, you are each personality, I would say. And that's what we have become. We think before anything else for the babies. So that's what we do as a parent, and we love to do that.
See, one of the biggest changes, if you ask me, right, has been that today we are far more empathetic of our own parents.
I'm so glad.
Right? So much more, right? Because now that we are parents and we go through, all those randomness that our, kids have at times, yet be patient, yet be calm, yet, not raise our voices. We really, and yet being so much giving, so much, as he was saying that for us, before anything or anybody, it is our kids. Right, we think about, we go out, to shop for us, and we end up shopping for them more than we shop for us, right? So, and those are things which organically happen, right? And of course, those sleepless nights, those worries, when they are unwell, taking them to the doctor, and all of that, right? Today, I think one thing that, of course, is the strongest, I would say, is right. Today, we respect and we love our parents much more, right? I think we always loved our parents, but today we understand what they would have gone through, because as kids, we wouldn't have been any different, right? So, and yet if they put up with us and they've made us what we are today, I think it's wonderful, right? And that acknowledgement comes from there.
That I will say relatable AF. Because that was exactly my experience as well. Sometimes, I don't know if this is something that you experience, but I felt myself thinking that, I was so ungrateful at times. That you don't get it, and you can't get it. You can't. You're not meant to until you become a parent. So all those cliches were true. So every time your mother or your father says things like, "Jab tum maa bano,"
Pata chala. Now it is actually true.
Right.
So I'll tell you, Rose, one of the things is like, so my mom, right, she gets very tensed very easily, right? And if we are out and we've not come back home till late, she'll stay awake and she'll sit and wait for us, and we will, we would often come back and we say, like, I'll shout at mom and say that, why do you need to do that? It's not going to help, right? You go up to sleep, right? And it makes us feel guilty that, we are out somewhere, partying or, having a dinner or something. And back in our mind, we're thinking that, mom must be sitting out there. That doesn't make me very happy about it. So she's like, no, I'm not stopping you. This is my worry. Now that when we are parents, right, the other day I and him were discussing that, to imagine if our, daughter, comes late or our son gets stuck somewhere, I think we will be also equally worried, right? Because, I think we might also end up doing something which is, as similar as what my mom used to do or your mom used to do. There won't be much difference, right? Because, and that's where that realization also came in, right? Because, parenting is parenting, and, that's something which is not very different, right? And, I think with generations, I think some things will never change.
Some things will
Right? Some things will never change.
experience broadly.
Absolutely.
We talk about the differences and how unique people are, and of course their journeys are different. But human experience broadly
Very much similar.
is very similar, right? Even across generations, the highs and lows, parenting, motherhood, fatherhood, things like.
See, the other thing, the other thing is like we become calmer. Right, we become very, very patient,
Suddenly you get like this slowdown of
Absolutely. So we don't really, we become very patient, very calm, right? The other thing, which is again one of the other strong things which it has added to both of us, is it's made us more appreciating of each other, right? As partners, as couples, as parents to our babies. I think we've become more appreciative of what we do for each other and for our home, for our family, right? And we each of us we have our own strengths, right? As a couple, we have our own strengths. He is good at certain things, I compliment on certain things, he compliments me on certain things. So, and it's a teamwork, right? And we've become more appreciative of that teamwork today after becoming parents. I think that's, if you ask me, of course, made us calm, patient, more giving, more loving, more caring, all that is definitely there. But, two of the things which top my list is one, becoming more appreciative of our parents, right? And two is becoming more appreciative of each other, right? I think these are the two biggest changes.
Both incredible.
Yeah, and we owe it to our kids.
Yeah, they bring in a lot of challenges, but they also bring in such joy and so much evolution.
Absolutely.
Like, these things are not going to happen. Again, I'm generalizing, but mostly they don't happen, these kind of changes, without some big event like becoming a parent.
Correct.
Right.
Today we look forward to, getting back to home. There is stability. There is, sanity in the midst of all the insanity that goes around in the house. But still, there is a big part of our heart, mind, which is in a very, very comfortable, stable place, right?
That makes
So I think that's something which we always thank our stars and our gods for giving us this. Right?
Hashtag bless.
Hashtag blessed. Correct.
Right. That's
So I think these are the two things I would say. But we are
Very
hands-on.
well put again.
We are very, very hands-on now. So so we started managing our babies when they were a few hours old, right? Yeah, they were just born, and right from the nurses in the hospital also, kind of, took us into the NICU and she's pooped or he's pooped, you clean it. Yeah, so I
They were training us from day one.
in fact,
That's amazing.
In fact, we asked, right, see, when will they be discharged? So they were like, जब हमें लगेगा आप manage कर सकते हो तब. So very sweet of them to do that. And in fact, that tiny 2 kilo, where you feel that, अगर जोर से दबा दिया तो टूट जाएगी हड्डी. उसका poop clean करना. And it was in the midst of COVID time.
Thana is such a challenge.
And we were all like decked up from top to down. It was COVID second
times.
wave.
So all on those, what was that?
gear,
All the entire protective gear
and the
that.
mask, two masks, and then the shield.
visor.
Yeah.
The shield, not the visor.
So all of that, with all of that, I think today we are pretty hands-on. We got the babies home. His parents, unfortunately couldn't immediately come because they were recovering from COVID. So my parents are a little older, so while they were there throughout the day, but during night they would need their sleep.
Yeah.
Right, and they are hands-on, but they also needed, so we also had to take care of them, right? So they couldn't be staying up the night because then they will fall ill, right? And then it will be very difficult for us. So during the night it was us, right? So every 1 hour, 1.5 hours, waking up and feeding them that 15 ml of milk, right? Kind of. And then after feeding, I'm sure you are a mother, you recollect this,
Burping them.
burping, right?
Yeah. And if they don't burp, worry. But why haven't they burped? And what am I doing wrong?
And then we will like, कि burping, फिर 10 मिनट हो गया, 15 मिनट हो गया. एक तो हम ही मतलब, we are half asleep. And then they were like, Mayank, किया ना burp, आवाज आई ना? So we'll be like, to reassure, like, अरे कर लिया होगा. So those kind of, so those were very, very happy memories of our, those days. And today we are very hands-on. So, so we keep saying, joking with our friends, कि whenever you guys have babies and if you need nannies, we are there.
It'll be nannies.
That's very kind.
So pretty hands-on that way. I think I think, that made us, strongly believe that, I think the other thing that we are saying, that parenting is actually genderless. If you can, a father can do everything, a mother can do everything. Of course, they have very important roles to play in the kids' life, very loved roles, respected, acknowledged roles. But, a lot of that is overlapped.
At the end of the day, those roles need to be played out well, regardless of the gender.
Correct. So yeah, I think it's been so far a very, very rewarding journey. It has its yes, it takes a toll on us at times, and we try to take some breaks in between, breaks where
We also try to give our parents also a break.
Yeah.
They also need.
So we do, kind of take them out for lunches, movies. We try to take some, couple time out, right? We try to, make sure that every alternate weekend at least we go out for a dinner or something which we enjoy, like a movie, or, go out clubbing. So we do all of that, right? Because it's very important, right? In the entire process, there are a lot of responsibilities that we have, and we also thank our stars that we have those responsibilities, because we wanted those responsibilities, right? Nowhere those responsibilities.
Life without the
Absolutely, and we see at
you
that.
won't, if you did not have, sorry for pausing you, but I feel like if you don't have those responsibilities, then suddenly life does not have purpose, life does not have meaning, and you're kind of wandering like a lost soul,
See,
trying to find meaning and purpose.
I have a slightly divergent point of view on that. I think, see, every life is complete. I believe every life is complete in its own way, if you feel it is complete, right? If
That's true.
Absolutely.
It depends on that person.
So anybody who doesn't have these kind of responsibilities may have other responsibilities, or may have much fewer responsibilities, right? But those fewer responsibilities do not make that person's life any less complete.
No, so when I say responsibilities, I don't particularly just mean parenting responsibilities.
Correct.
But you need to have some kind of responsibility in your life that means something to you.
Correct.
So that your life has.
Correct.
Yeah,
That
otherwise
purpose.
you will feel very lost.
That purpose of life,
Yeah,
right?
that
Where
purpose
could be anything.
a
Could be
social
anything.
purpose.
Absolutely.
That purpose could be a career.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think for us, I think those responsibilities are there. So we try to balance, time out. We take our time out. We give our parents their time out. So because it's important that and we also understand that it's not a sprint; it's a marathon, right? And we need to have a long run, and we cannot burn ourselves in the first 100 meters only when we have quite a few kilometers to run and cover. Right, so we try to pace our speed and keep ourselves energized, and that makes the entire journey more enjoyable.
It does. Absolutely does. Yeah, so many valuable things that you said there. This is going to be a very wisdom wala podcast for a lot of people, no? Do you feel like इस age पे लोग इतने mature हो जाते हैं? Does he really sound so mature? Is he really that mature?
I'll tell you later.
What do you mean? Say yes.
The jokes apart, yeah, couldn't have said that, absolutely. And so now that you guys are on this journey, what do you think the future holds for you? And when I ask about future, I also want to know about your thoughts about what kind of changes do you want to see in the society, in Indian society specifically, in the world at large. And it could be regarding same-sex couples, or it could be regarding other things as well. So, what kind of changes you want to see, and where do you want to go from?
Right. So, things we would like to see differently would be like people, accepting and at least willing to hear for the people from the community, LGBT community. And one thing, and the other would be I actually forgot the question.
Absolutely. So basically just the changes that you want to see. You are correct, Tony. So what are the changes that you want to see in the society in terms of same-sex couples or LGBTQ community in general? And also in other things, what are the changes that you would like to see in Indian society, the world in general, and what are your own future plans and goals? So two parts to that question. Yeah.
Okay. So the first I said people to be more willing to understand the problems and from the community and at least interact with them to know what's the problem and hear that out. And the other would be like everybody wanted that social marriage status which we are fighting for. So I would hope that in future that it may come to us, at least the civil union part of it. And for our plan, it would be like for me, it is like personally, I go along the path. Like I don't think of future much. Like let it be in the present, yeah, and give the good kind of learning to the kids, and things will pick up from there, I believe.
I think that's the right way to go about it. Live in the present.
Yeah.
Do the best you can for
Yep.
kids because they are our hope for tomorrow.
Correct.
You can bet.
Correct. See, if I think of it, right, the way I look at it is one of the things which I would expect the larger society to do is that please acknowledge differences, right? Diversity. And it can be any kind of diversity because, diversity is natural. Right? If we look around us, we see no two flowers look the same, no two trees look the same, right? No two people look the same. So it's the at the core of genetics is diversity, right? So why do we want to crave for similarity? And and a close surrogate of similarity is stereotype. Right? So when you say that ऐसा ही होना चाहिए, ऐसा ही करना चाहिए, ऐसे ही होता है. So in a way we are boxing and we are kind of boxing people, boxing experiences, boxing lives, boxing stories into seeking similarity, and that's not natural. If anything is unnatural, it is similarity, because diversity is natural, right? So anybody who says that this is not natural and this is natural, you are not correct. And you might need to get yourself more informed, right? And this is not only for, the LGBTQIA plus community. It is for anybody around. People who are shorter than you, people who are taller than you, people who have certain, skin color, people who are, are slightly on the heavier side, lighter side, skinny, fat. Who are we to, judge people and say that this is not correct? You see a fat person and say that you look so unfit. But the least that you might know is that that person might be fitter than you. That guy is medical, parameters might be better than yours. And you are judging that person's fitness by seeing that he is fat. Right? So who are we to judge that, right? So that is something which I will expect that the society at large is, let's start to celebrate differences, right? And that's a beautiful thing to happen when you start celebrating differences, right? And of course, that will also entail, the community that we belong to. There are so many beautiful stories from the community. And the more you accept us, you will see more such stories coming out in the public, right? To, for you to see, understand, empathize, and perhaps in some place get inspired as well, right? So that is one change that I would want. The other thing that, what we are trying to do at our end is, of course, back home, we are trying to, learn, right? More than doing, I think before that we are learning. So we are learning to be better fathers, we are learning to be better sons, we are learning to be better partners. Every day we are learning something new, and it's the journey that we're talking about has been a beautiful learning ground for us, right? There, wouldn't be a single day where we've not learned something new, right? And that has allowed us to evolve so much more beautifully, right? So that is something which we will continue to do, learn something new every day, right? We don't want to be masters, we don't want to be experts, we just need to learn something new and put in our best efforts to do it the right way, right? And as Mayank also very beautifully put that, do your part with honesty and leave the rest to whomever you believe in. You believe in God, leave it to God. You believe in something else, leave it to that something else, right? But do your part honestly, have the appetite to learn, right? Appetite to empathize. So that is something which we will definitely continue doing. For the community, of course, we are all hoping that, with this acceptance of diversity, there will be laws which will come in, which will acknowledge the presence of, different types of people in the society, give them equal status, and equal status across, of course, we across the spectrum of rights that the Constitution of our country offers, right? So there should be, and this again not only restricting ourselves to this community, but to anybody who is out there who is different, right? So acknowledging them, giving them that acceptance of equality is very important. The other thing that I would say is from our side, right? For the longest, Amrita, even we were not seen, not heard. We chose to be in our own life, own world, right? Even after coming out, I would say, even after coming out, we were in our own, own home cocoon, I would say. Yeah. So, but then somewhere, when I'm sure, I'm not sure if the audience is aware, but we also got socially married. Right, so on June 2022, we got socially married as well, in the presence of our parents, in the presence of our sisters, our kids, all the 4 kids, our family, our close friends in Bangalore.
Kids have got, sorry to pause, those kids are bragging rights. I went to my parents'
Yeah, we say that, I'm sure they do. So yeah, I think we got that, and that's where we felt that a lot of people started to reach out to us, looking at us as perhaps that reference point which they were seeking, which isn't there in the Indian context as much, as far as the LGBTQIA community is concerned.
It's definitely not as visible.
Not visible. I was just going to say that, is that, I'm sure a recent study says 10 to 15% of the people, human population in India, identifies as LGBTQIA+. Whether they are expressing that or not expressing that, but they are identifying it. Now, are we saying that there are no lesbians in the movie industry? Are we saying that there are no gays in the sporting field? Are we saying that there are none of them in politics or in the corporate world? Of course there are, right? But again, for their own reason, they are choosing not to be there seen, right? And I'm again not taking anything away from that reason. That reason might be their own personal reason, and we need to empathize. And when talking about empathy, I cannot say that, oh, that reason is a weak reason. Of course, that's a strong reason, perhaps. But it might make more sense. I would only urge, people to think that what changes can you bring in your own life? What changes can you bring in perhaps some other lives by being more authentic? And if you are in a position of power, if you are in a position of influence, if you are in a position of bringing that reference point to somebody's life, please evaluate that, right? And it might make sense. And that after that evaluation, you may still choose not to come out. Absolutely fine, no judgment, right? But, somewhere do evaluate that. We chose to, be more visible after that. And when so many young boys and girls from smaller towns, Almora, Ajmer, small, towns, they reach out to us over our social media handles and say that, they feel hope, they feel that there is a possibility, there is, they can have a life like this. It makes us feel happy for sure. A part of us also makes us feel sad that, there's so much more that needs to be done, because they also talk about how difficult it is for them to live a life like this in their home, in their towns, etc. But also fills us up with a sense of responsibility to some place as well. That while we do all of this, we are also available for, people, if they want some, guidance of, how our story has unfolded. And with, again, that disclaimer that our story is our story. Your story is your story, right? And your story will be as beautiful as any other story, right? So with that disclaimer, we are there too.
It seems like could play a part in many other stories.
If it does, we will be always there, in whichever way, whichever capacity. So I think these are a couple of things which we will want, to change, right? So in the society, I think that's something which will make it so much more beautiful, right? And there is already so much of negativity. There is already so much of, not so positive things around us happening, right? Why, why not give love a chance, right? Just make, that'll make life easier for so many of us, right? And as I said that, the COVID was the biggest eye-opener. We are sitting here planning something, somebody up there has his own plans.
I feel like now that COVID is 3-4 years old, people are maybe starting to forget what it taught a lot of us.
Correct. Don't forget
Maybe
that.
this would be a gentle
Yes. Let love be, accept love, accept differences, celebrate differences, be empathetic, be more caring. Of course, we are humans, we will falter here and there, for sure. Nobody is God. But when you realize that you faltered, be the first to apologize, go up there, accept your mistake, correct it. I think the biggest quality that we all should have is empathy and listening.
Yes.
Right? I think we are often in a hurry to speak. Right? कोई आपके पास आता है अपना कोई problem share करने, you are immediate to give a solution. Right? That person perhaps is not seeking a solution from you. All that person is seeking is just hear me out. Right? So just hear out. Right? So I think these are the top two things which come to my mind, and I wasn't like this. Right? A lot of my journey in the last 5, 6, 7 years has made me like this. I think he's seen the evolution, and I have seen the changes in him as well. Right? So
May you continue to.
Yeah, I'm out there, and as I said, that we are learning every day something new. So next time when we meet on your podcast, I'm sure that we will have some more pearls of wisdom to share.
I'm going to use the exact phrasing, pearls of wisdom. Great minds think alike. Right. On that note, on the note of achieving more pearls of wisdom in a life later on, we will conclude for today. And I want to thank you both again. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for braving Bengaluru traffic. Thank you for braving the Bengaluru heat. It's such a weird thing to say, but we literally have like notifications of heat wave from the meteorological department. So, and thank you for being here and sharing.
Thank you, Amrita.
Thank you for having
us.
Yes.
It's a pleasure.
So, this was today's podcast. And it was a very positive and uplifting one. I really hope that you feel the same way after watching this. And if you like this video, please like it and share it with whoever you think needs to see this. And please subscribe to our channel. Please share your suggestions on what else you want to see on this podcast. Who do you want us to interview? And please come back next week for another podcast. Thank you.